Good evening, people. This is another episode of the Good or Not Agrocast. Here with one of the members of the home team, John the First, Joe the First, that sort of thing. And as always, we like to bring good agricultural topics to the Brazil market, that sort of thing. And for this episode, we're very, very pleased and fortunate to have Kevin Berg joining us. He's a third generation farmer in the U.S. and also a business owner, that sort of thing. So anyway, I want to welcome Kevin for coming on our podcast today. And maybe Kevin, just initially, tell us a little bit about your farm operation and how you got started with farming.
Sure. I grew up on a farm. Wasn't really room for me to stick around, so I ended up going to college, and then after graduating college, worked in the industry for a little bit, and then it wasn't until just probably 8 or 10 years ago that I got back into the farming. So in the meantime, got a college degree in mechanical engineering, and also started a machine shop in there as well. And so then after the machine shop, we started an ag business, and then finally got back into the farming.
Sure.
Okay. Kind of a long way to get there, but glad we're here.
Sure. Probably around what year were you probably full time involved in the farm operation?
Back in 2000 and about 2009.
Okay.
Is when I officially started my own farm.
Okay.
So
then from that time period to, let's say now we're in 2026, what maybe related to farming equipment, what sort of changes have you seen just over that period of time with what you do on your farm operation?
Well, I started with the basics, no auto steer. Was just happy to have implements hooked up and going back and forth in the field, but
and the air conditioning
and the air conditioning and the heat, as it turns out, in our part of the world.
Yep.
But then just slowly started adding technology, and now we have everything. We don't have full autonomy, but we do everything from variable rate, variable down pressure, variable rate fertilizer. So we're kind of checking all the boxes to keep up with the modern ag practices up in North America.
Sure. Okay. Great. You mentioned autonomy, and it's like a lot of topics in any market. There's always kind of buzzes and stuff like that, and autonomy's been around. How do you see that? How would I say it? How do you see that being able to be implemented in a typical farm operation? Because my personal view, there's probably certain applications where it could be good, but to have a whole farm operation, I think there's too many variables where you still have to have a human input, I guess. But it'd be great to kind of get your perspective as a farmer.
Sure. Any new technology is always going to supplement what you already have, right? So, I mean, they've got autonomy in dairy, they've got autonomy in, the vegetable world. And I think it's just finally starting to trickle into the more commodity type ag production.
Okay.
And, over there, it's starting to show up in tillage practices. So guys are using the autonomy to till the fields either in the fall or ahead of planting in the spring. And so that's where it's starting. Is it mainstream? No, not by any means. Most dealerships only have 1 or 2 autonomous units available.
Right.
But I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a big push towards autonomy.
Sure. No, that's really interesting. And like in Brazil, I don't know what the percentage is. John Jr., would you say it's 90% no-till in Brazil?
Yeah,
pretty much. Kind of that trend in the U.S. How have you seen that progressing? Maybe even since when you started farming to what it is today, just from this practices related to tilling and no-till, that sort of thing.
I think there's a slight increase, but for the most part, it's been pretty flat. People adopting no-till, especially with as much corn on corn that we do in North America. Managing that residue usually requires tillage to maintain that corn on corn rotation.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people that will go 3, 4, 10, 15 years continuous corn, and that's pretty tough to do in a no-till environment, especially in the colder climates where the residue doesn't have a chance to break down.
Okay. That's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that either. I've been off the farm for a few decades, so there's a lot more corn on corn now. I guess
For sure.
Okay. Is there a certain reason for that, or?
Simply put it, it's more profitable than
Oh.
raising soybeans and having the soybeans in the rotation.
Okay.
And then there's just a huge demand for corn in ethanol, and then also
Okay.
in the livestock.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So, yeah, I've always just thought it's always been a rotation. I hadn't heard that myself personally, that there's a lot more corn on corn, but it makes sense.
I mean, overall, it's still probably close to the 50-50 ratio, but certainly up in the upper Midwest, we're seeing a lot more corn on corn rotation.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, Joel, I know you got some questions, I think, from the ag industry in Brazil. It'd be good to see what questions they would ask for an American farmer.
So I have a personal question. As both sides as a farmer and industry. What do you see? What separates top farmers than normal farmers?
Adapting technology and pushing to get that last 10 to 20% yield gain or profitability gain. If you're just going through the motions and you're in that 80% pool, you're competing with a much larger group. That 10% or 20% will obviously get you the advantage moving forward. And so you have to adapt technology, and you have to make sure you're putting all your inputs where they need to be, and just dialing your processes in.
Oh, great.
So we know farming in Brazil is not a lot different, but some points are very, very different from US, mostly money-wise. So if a farmer has limited budget, where should they invest first?
That's a great question. Just making sure that their equipment is in good mechanical shape, and then fertility. I think that's the two main drivers of getting off to a good start, for sure.
And then one topic to cover. I don't know if it's a good or not topic, but obviously the global ag economy the last couple of years. I think we saw it tough in Brazil already in 2024 for sure. Maybe a little bit at the tail end of 2023, and then of course into 2025. How do you see that, or how was that trend in U.S. and then do you see maybe some changes, or it's going to be kind of the same for 2026?
I think we're going to be similar for 2026. We were talking earlier this morning, large ag equipment purchases were down 16% again year over year for December. And so there's still a lot of pressure out there in the market. But you just have to, make smaller improvements, maybe make smaller upgrades to your equipment, just to make sure it's maintained and in good condition. Because in a lot of cases, people are using their equipment for at least another year, maybe even 2 or 3 in these market conditions. And so you just have to maintain what you have better and cut costs that way.
Okay. Oh, great. Any other questions you got? John the first.
I have a question, but I think it's more for Deanne.
Okay. Well, one good topic. I know you mentioned about you started farming in around 2009. So, and then you went to school for engineering. So, talk a little bit about your other business. So you have the farming business, and then maybe how the other business came about over the course of your life.
Sure. Well, we started the machine shop shortly out of after we got done with college. I started the machine shop in my garage, like a lot of businesses do, and then we just started branching out from there. We came across a pretty large contract that was able to get us into a little bit bigger shop, and then that was going along fine until about 2008, 2009. We had a big financial kind of collapse in the U.S. Yeah. And that's when the opportunity of the Copperhead closing wheel walked in the door. and we had the time and resources to take a look at it. If we would have been operating under normal conditions, we probably wouldn't have even considered taking a look at it.
Right.
But that's how that started. And like I said, we were slow in the shop, so we took the idea that was brought to us, and we improved upon it and did a bunch of research, and then we were able to test that product in the spring the following year, and we failed the first time. The design didn't work quite right, but we were able to change that and improve that basically 3 or 4 times within one planting season, just because we were a small company and we had all the tools and machines to make the modifications and do the design changes using CAD. And so, what we accomplished in basically a month or 6 weeks probably would have taken larger companies, at least a year or two to do. So that's kind of how Copperhead got started.
Okay.
Was with that first spring, perfecting the product, and then bring it to market slowly.
Okay. So what sets apart then the Copperhead closing wheel? Like, there must have been something that caught your eye when you saw it, and it's like, okay, here's how I'm doing it today, or here's how farmers are doing it today, or OEMs. What caught your eye from an engineering perspective that made you think this could be a great thing for farming?
So there were a lot of, I shouldn't say at the time, there was only 2 or 3 spike closing wheels, but they were a lot more aggressive. So what you were seeing is people were running one more aggressive spike closing wheel on one side, and then they were using their traditional OEM rubber tire on the other side.
Yep.
And basically they're using that to maintain the depth so you wouldn't get too aggressive. Well, we kind of melded the two together and came up with the happy medium that everybody was looking for. And so that was the creation of the Furrow Cruiser closing wheel.
Okay.
And we really honestly kind of set the standard. And even in the last probably 6 to 8 years, there's been a multitude of other aftermarket closing wheels trying to compete and copy what we have done. But we have yet to find an improvement worthwhile on ours to change anything. So
right.
We feel all of our features are still the best one out there.
Okay. And then just on the closing wheels, I know you have I'm going to use the names wrong, like the cast version, but the other version is, it'd be good to understand the type of material that's made out of, because I think that's important for farmers when they're looking for various, let's say, plastic or poly products. It's real important to know what type of poly or plastic is used. So it'd be good to get your perspective from a manufacturing perspective, what you use and why it's important.
Sure. We use UHMW, which stands for ultra high molecular weight poly.
Okay.
It's basically a very abrasion resistant, high wearing component. It's the same material that's on the skid plates on the bottom of a bean head.
Okay.
So it's made out of the same material as what those are.
Okay.
So it's very strong, very durable. It doesn't chip or break, and it's very, very abrasive resistance.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just asking. I know we've seen some companies try to get in that market, and it's kind of the first thing we bring up is the fact of the material, because it makes it plays a big part in how long the part's going to last.
For sure.
That sort of thing. So, and then the cast versions, if I understand correctly on those, there's I don't know if it's the right way to say it, like unlimited life on them, or how do you see those?
It's just for the super high wear environments, which is very small pockets. Really, we only sell about 5 to 10% cast versus poly,
okay.
And it's where you have high gravel, highly abrasion resistant. Say you got some shale in your soil or something very, very abrasive resistance.
Okay.
That's one area that we use the cast. The other is in the high speed planting application. Where the planters are, running down the field 8, 9, 10 mile an hour, and you want a little bit more weight on that closing wheel frame to keep in contact with the ground to make sure you're maintaining that good seed to soil contact. So those are really the only two applications. Otherwise, most of it is poly.
Okay. Okay. Then the spike closing wheels. So what's the benefit, I guess, of that compared to like you said, the rubber smooth tire closing wheels?
Sure. The only thing the rubber tires can do is press, and especially when you're out, in the spring, the soils are saturated or they have moisture, and anytime you press those furrow walls back together, as that furrow dries out, it wants to pull back apart, and then you're exposing the seed to sunlight and chemical, and it's just not a good environment for that seed. You basically lose the seed to soil contact. So what the spikes do is they crumble and tuck and pack the dirt around the seed, and gives it a much better environment, and you get much more consistent seed to soil contact, and ultimately what that's going to do is even out your emergence as those plants start coming through the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a study, I can't remember what it was, but it's a pretty significant yield increase, or it can be, if I remember correctly.
Correct. If you don't get all the plants out of the ground within, say, 48 hours, you start seeing a tremendous yield drag on the plants that come up after, the 48-hour period. And then basically anything that doesn't come up within 4 days of planting is considered a weed, and you basically lost that potential for that plant.
Okay. So then, like with planters, like you mentioned, there's a lot of corn on corn and stuff like that. Is there other products that Copperhead has for planters that help with some other aspect of the planting process?
Sure. Copperhead has a multitude of repair kits. So basically any place where there's a pivot joint, we have basically replaced those with a bearing joint instead of a traditional friction type wear point. Those are very popular and really increase the life of and the performance of the planter. And then the other big thing we have is row cleaners, which I know they're not very popular here in Brazil, but they're pretty well accepted, and most planters up in the United States have row cleaners on them, or trash cleaners, and basically they clear the path, remove all the big debris, and just create a nicer path for that planter to plant into. Sure. And so there again, we're trying to maintain consistent planting depth. We don't want trash pinned in the soil. And again, that affects your seed to soil contact. So we want to sweep all that trash out of the way, eliminate any big bumps, and make a nice smooth path for that planter to travel through, and then get that consistent planting depth and good seed to soil contact. So we basically got it from front to back on the whole planting row unit.
So the row cleaner, what separates the Copperhead row cleaner maybe from some other brands or designs that you've seen?
There's two main points. One is the leading edge. So our blades are staggered. We have one leading and one trailing. Okay. Basically what that does is eliminates the two wheels from competing for the same piece of trash. So if you're running intermingled or running at the same angle, they have a tendency to plug and skip more, where our leading edge kicks the material out, and the trailing one basically finishes the job. And so we get a much smoother travel and a better clearing of the residue as ours travel through the field. The other big thing is ours have a concave disc. Okay. I'm pretty sure all other trash wheel manufacturers have a flat blade of some sort. Ours is concave, so it rolls the trash out of the way instead of just pushing it out of the way. So it's a little bit more controlled, and does a better job of keeping the residue where it needs to be.
So just in something like that, where it's kind of a concave shape, was that something you tried it, let's say with the flat one, it's like, wait, there has to be a better way to do this, and then you kind of reshaped it? Or just curious your thought process on that?
That one we actually was part of an acquisition.
Okay.
So that design was already in place, but that was their thought process.
Okay.
And it also, it can be more aggressive, but it's more controlled.
Yeah.
So we just get a cleaner path and a more controlled environment by using the concave disc.
Okay. So planter parts like that, could that work on John the First one-row planter or not? What do you think?
We could adapt it for pretty much any planter. Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
So you're in luck.
So we could increase your yield.
Okay. That makes me happy.
Does it?
Yeah. It's going to be hard to push.
Yeah.
So does your dog pull that? 'Cause you have a pretty big dog. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know if you had. I guess you got horses too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we need both, the horses and the dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Pretty
cool.
heavy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So is there other aspects of ag that Copperhead makes products for?
We also have performance concaves, aftermarket concaves. Basically, the principle behind those, it's a more open design, and it has restricted flow. So we're retarding the flow of trash through the combine, and what that does is allows more grain on grain threshing versus grain on metal.
Okay.
And it helps clean up the sample. You get a lot less cracks and damage to the clean grain, and then the more open design is more efficient, and it lets the shelled grain fall through the threshing system quicker than the conventional concaves that are out in the market today. The big thing is when you're switching from different crops, you don't have to replace the concaves. You just have to simply either add or take away cover plates.
Okay.
So it's a lot easier to bounce between corn, soybeans, wheat, small grains, that type of thing.
Okay. And then, so with the performance concaves, kind of same questions with the planter parts. What are some of the key benefits of that compared to the OEM concave, the one that comes on the combine?
Sure. Again, it's the ability to switch between crops,
Okay.
the restricted flow for gentler grain threshing, and then the more open design just allows a more efficient threshing process, and we're putting less out the back of the combine. We also
Less loss, basically.
less loss,
Okay.
increased capacity. You're going to see less fuel consumption. And we also have a disruptor kit that goes in the separation grates that helps remove the last few kernels from the mat of trash that's being thrown out the back of the combine. So again, a lot less yield loss and just a more efficient threshing process.
Okay. So yeah, like a concave on a typical combine, is that like a considered a wear part, and kind of how long do they last typically? I guess to start, not necessarily the performance ones, but just trying to ask the question in terms of someone who has a combine, he has the OEM concave. That's probably, how long does it take for that to wear out where they could change to a performance concave?
I mean, it's more one of the durable products.
Okay.
You're not wearing out a set of concaves typically in a year.
Okay.
A set of OEM concaves is probably going to last 4 or 5 years, or
Okay.
somewhere around 1,000 to maybe 1,500 hours.
Okay.
So at that point, obviously, if you're going to have to replace them, it makes sense to maybe pay for a little bit better concave and go to a performance
Sure,
concave.
sure.
Ours do have hard surfacing on them, so they're designed to last longer than the OEM. Plus, you get the added benefits of the higher performance.
Okay. Yeah, I know like in Brazil, since they got two crops in a year, they're really putting double the hours on a combine. So it's
For sure.
It's probably something where they're wearing them out much faster. So seems like it makes sense to don't wait till the OEM one wears out. It sounds like there's so many good benefits and yield and other things that it's just something that could even be replaced on a new combine. It sounds like.
Absolutely, we have a lot of these that go in brand new combines.
Okay.
So replace the OEM concaves right from the factory.
Okay.
So there's definitely benefits and payback really within the first year that you use them. It doesn't take but a couple hundred acres to get your payback to putting a new set of concaves in,
Okay.
and you get that every single year. So
Okay. What are your thoughts, John?
I have a
Just
question.
on some of the Copperhead products.
You listed some key benefits. You also talked about some of the people that copy you, like all over the world. I want to know what makes Copperhead different in your vision.
it's just being honest with people. We come up with simple, reliable products that just work. All of them are tested by me personally, so we get to see firsthand how they work and what needs to be improved. And then it's just our customer service. We take care of our customers. We ship on time. Just being a good resource and an honest resource for the farmer is what kind of sets us apart. I think we're just easy to do business with. That's what I'll leave it at that.
That's something that I would also like to ask. Like, mostly of your products started from some difficulties you had along the way, right? You saw something and you said, you thought like, I need to find something that will help me doing this, right?
Sure.
If you can explain like a little bit of the process of creation of like taking off the idea of something you created, would be nice to understand the point of view of a farmer and also engineer.
Sure. Well, when you first come up with a design, it always looks good on the computer, right? And you never know how it's going to react in the real environment. So being able to take what you've produced on the screen, physically mount it to whatever it's going on, and then watching it work tells the whole story. So, for instance, the first closing wheel that we made, it completely plugged up with mud 50 feet down the field, and you've been working on this thing for weeks, and you're a little bit let down by the fact that it failed within 30 seconds of operation.
Right.
So we take them off, we make some modifications, you see the improvement, and you just keep going down that path. So it's a continual improvement. It doesn't matter if it's a product for a combine or planter or a manufacturing processes, right? We're always in a continual improvement environment. So, Emily probably gets frustrated with me knowing that I'm never satisfied. There's always something better. And so we're always just continually looking to either improve processes or improve product, and just bring it to market better.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's also nice. Like many companies claim like our products are got tested by farmers. Ours is developed by a farmer, so it's even better.
Okay. So this is your first time in Brazil? No?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So yeah, just for the audience, Kevin's here with his wife Emily, first time in Brazil. What's some of your things you want to see or expectations as it's being your first trip to Brazil?
Well, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is being able to farm in January. So where I come from, it's 0 degrees outside. There's snow and wind and cold, and so to be able to come down here and enjoy the nice weather, and just being able to explore different farming techniques and different challenges.
Okay.
Just super excited to be a piece of that and learn.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking most forward to.
Okay. Great. Well, I think you were here last night, and you got to experience John the First cooking and stuff like that. Any feedback you can give him or not?
Yeah, I think we've consumed multiple kilos of meat since we've been here, and this is only day 2, so we're off to a good start.
Sure. That's great.
And great cooking, by the way.
Thank you. I tried to do the best you can get in Brazilian barbecue. So the picanha, the other South American cuts. I hope you guys enjoyed.
It was a nice welcome. Thank you.
So I'll have to start calling you the mega, what would it be, chasquero?
Yeah.
Or something like that, like the big barbecue guy. So Anyway, but Kevin, I really appreciate you participating today, talking to us a little bit about American farming and about Copperhead. So look forward to having you here for a good week, that sort of thing, and we hope you enjoy it.
Appreciate it, guys. Very excited to be here, and just looking for opportunities to help improve.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.